moving and the girl come socialize. It's a different thing from she catch me eyes. I forget she no compromise. Someone walk up poor like me emphasize. So the Margaret get me.
There's no doubt about it. Black Panther was a huge deal, and the moviegoers showed up and showed out. Some persons said that black people were being extra. We don't care. And doing the most, we don't care. Actually, no. It was just refreshing to black people, or for black people to finally portray themselves or to be portrayed positively in media. So before we talk about just how we are portrayed, take a look at this.
He is internalizing the same messages from the media, from the schools that we all are. So we don't have to feel guilty. Those messages are that black men are dangerous, because if you look at the news, there have been studies on this. Local news overrepresents black folks as perpetrators, overrepresents white folks as victims. So the message that gets sent is they're dangerous, and specifically to you. They are not only bad people, they're going to hurt you. So therefore, we want to keep them on that side of town. We want to keep their children in those schools over there. We don't want to work around them. We don't want to live around them, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that message comes through loud and clear in the way that media represents people of color. You know, whenever we, thinking about Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old child that was shot in Cleveland by police, when that happened, what did they do? The first news story in Cleveland that made a big splash was about Tamir Rice's parents and the history of domestic abuse and criminality among his parents, not about the cop that killed him. We talk worse about black victims than we do white killers. What did we say about Ted Bundy? Oh, he was so smart, and he was so quiet, and he always seemed so nice. Every time one of these white boys goes and shoots up a school, what do we say? We had no idea he was going to do this. So we talk better. We have more sympathy for white folks who commit mass murder, bury bodies under the house, cook them up in a soup pot, and eat them, right, than we do black folks who were killed by police. We start digging for every bad thing they ever did. We want to know if they had a juvenile record. We want to know if they'd ever been arrested. That's what the media does. And until that changes, I'm afraid white folks will stay in denial, and it'll be very hard for us to move forward, whether we're talking about cops or just average everyday folks.
So potent.
And where did that come from? A white person. We just have to be aware. So we've invited Carla Moore and Marilyn. Sorry. And Marilyn Campbell to be a part of this discussion. All right, guys.
Before we start, I just want to say that I feel left out. You have the loop, the nose.
Yeah, I did specifically for this morning.
And now I'm feeling left out because I didn't get the memo. I'm just saying I didn't get the memo. As you may proceed. I didn't get the memo. It's stressing me out. You may proceed.
Marilyn don't have none.
Proceed.
Exactly.
So, are we...
It's a weirdo.
Are we First question. Are we treated negatively because of our black skin? Next question, and you can answer both of them at the same time each. After that, is it a possibility that now we have more Caucasian people being aware so that the result might be different this time around?
We are treated negatively because of our black skin, and one of the things that we're looking at is the long arm of colonialism, right? So that slave project, what it did, it shifted the world's way of looking at us. They see us as slaves, or they see us as the descendants of slaves, and they have a difficult time of imagining us as anything else. We also have a difficult time thinking of ourselves as anything else. Yeah. Yes, now that Caucasians or white people know that they could create that shift, but then we also have to think about what's in it for them. That slave thing was white people having their best moment. It's about dominance for them. When they look at themselves in that slave master and slave relationship, they're seeing themselves in positions of power. So while we're asking to be liberated from it, we're asking them to give up their glow up. That was their moment when they were ultimately in charge.
Them glow up.
Absolutely. What's in it for them? You know?
How do you top the glow up?
No, simply, you know, a lot of persons don't realize white supremacy is a system. It's a system that is maintained, and it is maintained by many things. It's maintained by media is one of the main arms of maintaining, right? It is. So you keep preaching this message over and over. You maintain this message because, and let's use the U.S. because, well, that's where a lot of our television and programming comes from, right? 60% of blacks are portrayed in the media, in the U.S. media, as poor. Like, of 60% of the images of black are poor images, right? In reality, blacks make up 27% of the poor population in the U.S., but which in itself is kind of bad because in reality, the actual population percentage of the population in the US that blacks make up is like 12.5%,
Yeah,
which
so
means that we are
20%
double,
percent.
20%.
Right.
So, and then they even magnify it more in terms of how we're portrayed. Whites are portrayed as like 17%, and yet they are at like 77% of the population.
Yeah.
So how they're portrayed, and then the links between criminality and blacks, it's exaggerated in the media.
It's almost like second nature.
Yeah, man.
It's like the air you breathe.
image,
Once you see black, it's negative.
Yeah.
Absentee fatherism, welfareism, and so forth. Because you would believe if you watch
that no white
US
people
programming,
ever welfare, no.
that they're always on the white people are the largest benefactors
of welfare.
And then let's tie it back to Obama's Obamacare. They're fighting against it. A lot of persons, white people, were fighting against it because they believe that it was this free ride for blacks and Hispanics and so forth, when the biggest benefactors of Obamacare were poor whites.
Can we change media?
That's what
You can change media, but and to put it in the context, what we're seeing is the first black. We're still in 2018 seeing first black. And somebody said it, I can't remember who, said that they look forward where it isn't a matter of first black. It is not a oh my gosh moment, but it is it's a thing. Can we change it? It comes with ownership.
It does.
In the US, and I'm still using it, 3.5% of media in the US is owned by black people.
3.5?
3.5% owned by blacks. And what blacks own are smaller radio stations that are little populations and so forth.
Local,
and even in areas where it's a majority black population, the vast majority of ownership of that media is still white. So it has to start with owners. Ownership is very small. And then let's skip the ownership. Let's look at the executive of the persons who decide what goes on.
The content.
It is still a very small percentage.
I have something to put to you. I don't know if you guys were aware of a series that came on the other day that was called Underground.
Underground.
The Underground is the story of the beginning of the Underground Railroad. And it starred a lot of people like Journey Smollett, and big thing. It came out and it made a bang, like boom. Like, I mean, the people who Amira Van that were in it, they were amazing, and it just came and made this big bang, and then it had this huge black following, and everybody jumped on it. Season 2 came out, and that was it. No, it didn't peter out. What happened was WGN cancelled it. Why was it cancelled? They were going to focus on being more of a news network. No such thing happened. I am now asking, is it a situation that we are being limited? Like, even when we put that forward, a black director, a black producer, they made the money, they got it together, they put it out there, and they said, here, look at what we are, and look at where we're coming from. And they still get shut down.
It's just
how do we work against that?
So it comes back to ownership, and it comes back, are we producing things for us, by us?
But do we have the control? It was by us.
But it was still on a channel, but it was still on a channel that controlled the channel and the content.
And that's the thing, as these media mergers continue to happen, and now like Disney and Marvel is the same company, right? It's coming down to being like maybe 5 companies that's owning the entire media landscape. And at the head of that, you have white people. We are going to consistently be begging, can we get a space? Can we get a space? Can we get a space? But one of the things about Black Panther that was significant for me is it's a wonderful movie, Wakanda Forever. That's how I'm greeting everybody. Like, it looks like Wakanda Forever. But the thing that I'm worried about is what Black Panther shows us is how hungry we are to see ourselves, and how much money we'll throw at you if you show us to ourselves. That money, yes, Ryan Coogler got a good amount. Yes, it was a black cast, but who got the most amount of 200
to make
pie, right? But who got the biggest slice of the pie? The executives at Marvel, which is white owned.
So we need to sit down in those positions.
We need to, and then we actually need to own our own.
Do we know our power? Because I know they're telling us to rap. Do we know and truly understand the power that we have?
And I don't think we do, because what we have to look at, and I think a lot of persons don't realize that we're just 50 years past a civil rights movement
that's true.
in the US.
We don't realize
how close
we are just to that.
400 years of being constantly given negative images.
Oh gosh, so, this discussion.
Can we have this?
We need it. Them ask us to do it in 6 minutes, and it's so hard. We can't do this in 6 minutes. We need more time.
But what I will say is just that Carla had posted something on her Instagram, and she said, we looked at Ryan Coogler, we've seen what he did, but instead of seeing how we as women can find out who his girlfriend is, broke her foot or whatever. Think about how you can be the next Ryan Coogler. I'll leave it at that.
Don't want to be his girl. Be him.
Be him.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for stopping by.
Good post, Carl. Yeah. Glow up. We're gonna take back that glow up. By the way, you didn't greet me like that.
Yeah. Ready?
Come on.
We're going for a break. Yes, bro. That's how you do it.
Man.